These are the 9.1 notes for Algebra 2. We're going to be talking about mean, median, mode, and range. You've probably seen most of those words before. So today will just be a refresher of how to do all those. So the first thing is the mean. In order to find the mean, you are going to need to add up all the numbers and then divide by how many numbers you have. It's also called the average. So for our first example, we would just add up all these numbers. So in your calculator, type in 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 7 plus 9 plus 12 plus 13 plus 17. I know you can type that in, so we'll just go ahead and keep moving. So that's 70. And then because there are 9 numbers in that list, we are going to divide by 9. And that's going to get us an answer of about 7.8. For the second example, same thing. Just go ahead and add those together. This time we'll get 118 for a total, and we'll divide by how many numbers there are, count them up. There are 8 numbers this time, and that's going to get us an answer of 14.8 when we divide it into our calculator. And I am just rounding those, so if it doesn't come out exact, just go to 1 decimal place. All right, for the median is the middle. The thing about the median is these numbers have to be in order from smallest to largest. So our first example 1, they are in order. Notice how it starts with a 1 and then goes all the way up to a 17. So we just need to find the middle number in the list. So a couple ways I do this. I might just kind of like put a dot over the first one on the outsides. And now I've counted 2 numbers in, 3 numbers in, 4 numbers in, and so that puts that 7 right in the middle. Notice there are 4 numbers above it and 4 numbers below it. So your median is 7. Example 2, we have a step to do before. Notice these are not in order. So the first thing we need to do, put them in order. Very carefully put them in order. So I start with a 2, and I always kind of cross it out once I write it in my new list. Helps me keep track of everything. 8, 10, 18, 20, 24, and 31. Then again, I'm going to kind of count to the middle of my list. So just kind of mark it however you want to. There. Beginning and the end. And right now we have 3 numbers at the top, 3 numbers at the bottom. And then we have these 2 numbers in the middle. So what I need to do now is find actually the middle of those 2 middle numbers. How I'll do that is I'll do 10 plus 18 and then just divide that by 2. Essentially finding the mean, the average of the 2 middle numbers. The mode is a number that occurs most often. It's something that's used less frequently in math. But for this first one, example number 1, the 4 shows up a couple times. It's the most repeated number. In our second list, none of the numbers repeat. If that happens, just write none for the mode. And then for the range is just how spread out your numbers are. So in order to do that, we're going to do the biggest number minus the smallest number. So our first example would be 17 minus 1. The biggest minus the smallest, I would get a 16, which means our numbers are spread out over 16 locations, 16 different places. And example number 2, 31 minus 2. 29. That's a bigger spread, so those numbers are a little bit more spread out than the other ones. All right. So then we just have a few example problems down here. If you're feeling good about this and want to try this on your own, feel free to pause the video and just work through them. I'm not going to show too much math here down at the bottom. For the mean, you're going to add up those scores and divide by 7. Add up the scores and divide by the 7 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Round to the nearest decimal point, you get 83.7. The median does require us to put these in order, and if you notice, these are not in order right now. So let's make sure we rewrite it. Our smallest number would be 76, followed by 78, followed by 80, which shows up twice, then 88, 90, and finally 94. So as you look to find the middle number, got points there, 2 on each side, 3 on each side, which means my median is going to be exactly that 80. The number that comes up the most often is 80. It's the only one that's repeated. And the range, the largest number, 94, minus the 76 smallest number. 94 minus 76, that would get us an answer of 18. Age of our customers, again, with the mean, add them all up and divide by how many numbers there are. So pause the video, grab your calculator, add those. Divide by 8 when you're done adding them. And we should get 29.4. All right, the median, we got to put these in order again. So let's go smallest to largest. We've got 5. And I've got this 18. 22. 29. Now we go into the 30s, 31 and 36. 42. And 52. So the median is the far outside ones, 2, 3, and then here I don't have enough to kind of mark those up again. So I have 3 numbers below and 3 numbers above, and these 2 numbers in the middle. And so right between 29 and 31, I don't even need a calculator for that. I know right between 29 and 31 is the number 30. Mode is a number that shows up most. None of those numbers repeat, so we're just going to write none. And our range from 52 to 5, 52 minus 5 gets us an answer of 47. Example number 5, longer list, but thankfully they're in order. So again, got 1, 2 on each side, mark 3. And you can mark these however you want. You can cross them off. You can put a little dot if you want. But it's just kind of nice to keep things in order so you know how many you have marked at the top and how many you have marked at the bottom. And again, if I marked off the last 2, that would be it, and I don't want to do that. So now I take these 2 middle numbers, and again, you'll have the same numbers at the top as you do at the bottom, the same amount of them. Right between 77 and 79 is 78. The next one, in order to find the mean, you just add these all up, and you would then divide by how many numbers there are, which there are 7. Just make sure with numbers this large that you are working very carefully and typing those into your calculator correctly. We should end up with 6083, 6083. All right, our next problem, we work a little bit backwards. Tyler wants an average grade of 85. Remember, average is another word for mean. He wants an average grade of 85 on his math tests. His test scores so far have been 92, 71, 88, and 80. What will Tyrell have to earn on his next test to get the average he wants? So we're going to need to add one more test in there, and we're going to try to figure out what that needs to be. So in order to find the mean or the average, I take the numbers that I know as well as the number that I don't know. Now I put a question mark there, but in algebra, we normally just use an X for things that are unknown to us. That would mean he would have taken 5 tests, so I'm going to divide by 5. And he wants that average to be an answer of 85. Now we get to solve it more like a regular math equation. We're going to start by adding all these up. Since all of those are just regular old numbers, I'm going to add those together. 92 plus 71 plus 88 plus 80 gets me 331 plus x over 5 equals 85. I need to get rid of the divided by x, so I'm going to multiply by 5. Sorry, divided by 5, I'm going to multiply by 5. And that's going to give me 331 plus x. And I'll just type that into my calculator, 85 times 5 to get 425. Our last step will be to subtract 331. And it's going to give me a final answer of 94%, which means he'll need to get a 94% on that next test in order to average out to 85% on his whole tests. Example 8 and 9 are SAT type questions. Covers the same concepts, just asked a little bit differently. If x is the median of the 7 numbers listed above, which of the following could be the value of x? We know with the median, these need to be in order. And x is the median, which means x is the middle number. So I'm going to put these in order. There are 7 of them. So I'm going to put my smallest one, 3, then 4. Then my next number would be 10. And then my x has to go right there in the middle. So if there are 7 numbers, it means there has to be 3 numbers above and 3 numbers below. And then we'll keep going with the 15 and the 18 and the 21. So if your x is right in the middle, it's the median, that means it has to be in a particular order from smallest to largest. So which one of these multiple choice values could x end up being? It has to be a number between 10 and 15. Obviously, letter D, 14 is the only number that works. For problem number 9, what is the average? Again, they call it the arithmetic mean. Mean and average are the same. So we know for the mean, we're going to have to add them up and divide by how many numbers there are. They tell us that there are 3 quantities. One of them is 12 minus n. One of them is 12. The third one is 12 plus n, and I need to add those together. So although I don't know what n is, I do know how to add like terms. So I'm going to add these together. When I combine the negative n and the positive n, those cancel out. And then 12 plus 12 plus 12 is 36. So that's me adding them together. Now I have to divide by how many numbers there are. There are 3 numbers. And 36 divided by 3 gets me an answer of 18. Sorry, gets me an answer of 12, excuse me. There we go.